You try to hold the score down if you're Steve Addazio. I mean, you can't take a knee for the next 2.5 quarters.
No, you just run your stuff, but the way you have to treat this kind of circumstance, and it's an unfortunate circumstance, Bob, is but on a Steve Addazio team, there are no selective players, there are no selective coaches. That is, there's nobody who selects when they're going to compete and when they're going to focus. They compete and they focus on every play every day. And that's the way they'll coach the rest of the game, regardless of who's in the game or what the scoreboard says. The mentality of the coach is, if I put you in the game, I expect you to execute. I expect you to play like a first-teamer. So you'll see Steve and his coaches very animated throughout the game. Although some might say, hey, they're ahead by a great margin, why don't they just relax? You don't show that example to your players. You coach hard every play, every day, and you expect the same from your players.
On second down, Johnson throwing deep, incomplete. The pass intended for Robert Mercer. And on top of everything else, you not only have to get ready for Florida State, but you have one less day to do it because that Seminoles game will be here on Friday night, not Saturday.
Well, most likely, given that shortage of time or lack of a full week, that the BC coaches have started their breakdown and their analysis, that part of their preparation for the big Florida State game next Friday night. Here's an odd front. Often pressure comes out of the odd front. I think BC is going to mug it, or that is bluff the pressure and fall back in zone coverage.
Three-man front on third down.
Now, Bob,
Howard's going to have to burn a timeout to avoid a delay of game penalty.
First charge.
Boston College is a very blitz-oriented team. They keep the pressure on all the time. But when you pressure that much, the illusion of pressure can be as disconcerting to an offense as the pressure itself. And that's what occurred on that particular play. BC showed pressure in multiple different positions along the offensive front, and yet they were going to pull out and play zone. But the illusion of pressure caused nervousness on the part of the quarterback and probably some concern about the protection, and therefore they called timeout to try to figure it out.
Steve Addazio told us this week we want to be multiple on defense. We want to present different coverages and looks, and it's designed to attack pressure and create chaos. And there's the defensive coordinator, Don Brown, veteran defensive coordinator, was on Paul Pasqualoni's staff in the same capacity at UConn before coming here to Boston College. Before that, he was the defensive coordinator under Ralph Friedgen. Maryland, was the head coach at Northeastern, the head coach at UMass, once took UMass to the FCS National Championship game. And early in his career was an assistant coach for Carmen Koza at Yale.
Play game. Offense.
Well,
5 yards. Still third down.
There's never a good time for delay of game, but can there be a worse time when you're coming out of a timeout you called to avoid a delay of game?
Bob, you nailed it. It is the worst time.
6 penalties on Gary Harrell's team. Gary Harrell was the best player on the best Howard team in school history. In 1993, Howard won its only MEAC championship. They won 11-1. They went to the FCS playoffs. It was called the NCAA 1AA playoffs back then. They lost to Marshall. And Harrell is the leader in career receptions in Howard history. Johnson will scramble, avoids Noah Merritt, and gets out of bounds at the 22-yard line, and that will force the Bison to punt the football.
And that play shows the cumulative effect on the quarterback of the pressure that Boston College has been bringing. Although it was an overloaded rush, Bob, it was only a 4-man rush. He did have some holes in the zone, but he's a little jumpy now as a young quarterback from all the pressure he's